it's music about freedom. And he used his sarcasm as a weapon.
Dmitri Shostakovich was a towering figure of the 20th century. He was the most significant composer of symphonies after Sibelius, and his string quartets stand alongside those of Bartók and Beethoven at the very center of the literature. Born in St. Petersburg in 1906, his life and his music played out in counterpoint to the Soviet regime. Of course, every great composer has their story, the circumstances of their life that interacted with their talent and character to lead to great artistic expression. But I doubt any composer faced the kinds of political pressure that Shostakovich did. When you think of the nexus of music and politics, the most obvious arena is music as political protest. From Verdi's Nabucco to Pete Seeger's Where Have All the Flowers Gone to Pussy Riot protesting against Putin, music has been a powerful tool for building broad support of a political message. But Shostakovich faced a very different equation. If you're an artist living in Stalinist Russia, an open protest is a sure death sentence. If a committee of party-line composers tells you your music is too formalist, you have to respond. Expressing yourself through music is a difficult thing, and the stakes are high. How does an artist express what he wants to express while maintaining deniability in case the authorities don't like the message that they hear? These are powerful circumstances that shaped Shostakovich's music in very real ways.
He created a very interesting style where he could actually deliver his amazingly humane and heroic message into the face of the authorities without authorities understanding what he was talking about, which is a great tradition of Russian art. So Shostakovich came out a winner against the most, not just the great dictator, probably the greatest dictator in the history of humanity. Not a bad feat for a mere composer.
Given the environment he worked in, it is no surprise that Shostakovich felt a powerful need to assert his identity in any way he safely could. One thing he did with many of his pieces, including the 10th Symphony, is stamp them with his musical signature. The different pitches that musicians play are labeled with letters. In English, the letters A through G. But by using German note names as well, it is possible to add an S, E flat in German, and an H, B natural in German. With these letters, Shostakovich created a musical motto out of the first initial of his first name and the first three letters of his last name. This motive can be heard throughout the piece in many different contexts. At the end of the third movement, it's played very softly by the flute and the piccolo. The version that comes in the fourth movement could hardly sound more different. It is hammered out by the entire orchestra in a shattering unison. But Shostakovich takes the initials element a step further with the French horn solos in the third movement.
There's a hidden message within that horn call in that it spells E as the first note, then A, then back to E, then D, and then A. And if you put that with German and French notation, that would be E, La, Mi, Re, A, which actually spells the name Elmira, who was one of his students, who he was very, very fond of. And the solo intentionally does not have a specific tonality to leave the listener a little bit wondering and unfulfilled, maybe like their relationship.
In addition to the musical initials, here are a few other landmarks to listen for. Bassoon was an important instrument for most Russian composers. Tchaikovsky alone wrote at least a dozen memorable solos. But nobody melded their music with the instrument's character like Shostakovich. Listen for the somber character of the music, the penetrating low notes of the contrabassoon, and the unique darkness of the sound. This is surely one of the greatest passages ever written for the bassoon. Another Shostakovich trademark is the maniacal energy of instruments playing in unison at breathtaking velocity. The second movement is one of the great tour de force moments in the entire orchestral literature. The The score of that single movement is literally 50 pages long, yet it takes just a bit over 4 minutes to play. Shostakovich allegedly implied that this movement is a portrait of Stalin. Of course, we'll never know for sure if that's true, but the sense of panic and sheer terror is palpable. At the same time, we can simply view it as a brilliantly executed showpiece for a huge virtuoso orchestra. Like so many things in this piece, the meaning is created in the mind of the listener. Finally, the last movement shows the extraordinary range of emotions that Shostakovich weaves together. I think of this passage when I reflect on the judgment that the Soviet Composers Union passed on this piece. With Stalin recently deceased and no clear path to follow, they declared the piece to be an optimistic tragedy. Talk about irony. Yet that phrase is, on many different levels, an apt description of what is arguably the most powerful and brilliant symphony of the 20th century.